please. Good evening. I'm Roy Charles Brooks. I'm the County Commissioner for Tarrant County Precinct 1. And welcome to this public forum about the future of our hospital district. Before we get to that, let me say thank you to all of those of you who voted for me, for allowing me to serve as your county commissioner for another 4 years. For those of you who did not vote for me, thank you anyway. Thank you for giving me another chance to convince you that what we have as priorities for this community are something that you can buy into, and perhaps I will be able to convert you into supporters in the future. John Peter Smith Hospital is a jewel in Tarrant County. And those of you who have known JPS over the years, I'm sure will agree with me that today's John Peter Smith Hospital is not your parents' or your grandparents' JPS. No longer is JPS Hospital the hospital of last resort for health care in Tarrant County. Surveys among doctors, among national accrediting bodies, and among patients have indicated to us a high level of satisfaction with the way JPS is headed. That patient satisfaction scores are up, physician satisfaction scores are up, that the services that JPS renders to the citizens of Tarrant County are well thought of. But a first-class hospital needs first-class facilities in order to truly be first class. And I think one thing about which we can all agree is that the facilities that JPS currently has will not be adequate to provide the health care that our citizens so deserve into the coming decades. Something must be done to provide for efficiency. Something must be done to provide for growth that is occurring in Tarrant County at an astronomical rate. And something has to be done to provide services that are now being provided, but perhaps not at a level that this community finds to be sufficient. I have particularly in mind mental health services. Perhaps each of you has something in your own mind that you'd like to see JPS do better. That's what this forum is all about, to listen to you and to get your ideas about what you want our public hospital, what services you want us to be providing 30 years from now, how you want those services provided 30 years from now. Are we on the right track? If not, what is the right track? What should we be doing that we're not doing? What are we doing that you think we should not be doing? All of these are questions that you'll get to weigh in on this evening. To get this started, I'd like to bring up Tarrant County's county administrator. He reports directly to Tarrant County Commissioner's Court, runs the business of Tarrant County, and is in charge of running this process. So Mr. G.K. Manias will introduce our consultants and get us going. Thank you all for being here.
Well, let's do a little housekeeping items first. We have several individuals that are going to do interpretations tonight. If you need those interpretations, first of all, as you can see, Kathy is doing sign language. And is there anyone in the audience that needs the assistance of Kathy in sign language? Okay. Next to Kathy is Amy, and Amy is going to translate in Vietnamese. Is there? I'll ask Amy to ask you that question.
Dạ, xin hỏi ở trong đây có ai cần thông dịch về qua bên tiếng Việt không ạ?
I'm assuming that means, does anybody need any assistance in Vietnamese? And then finally, we have Martha in the back. Martha will be doing the Spanish translation. Is there anyone who needs assistance with Spanish translation?
Ai ayudan aquí en explicar la traducción en español?
Okay, very good. Well, first of all, let me say, Commissioner Brooks, thank you for coming out tonight. We really appreciate your comments. Interestingly, when you start to kick things off, you have all these speeches and everything you're going to give, and then the good commissioner steps up and says everything that you were going to say. So my introduction will be very, very short. First of all, I see that the back rows are filling up really pretty quickly. Believe me, you cannot hide in the back row, okay? Because we will find you. Tonight you're going to hear initially you're going to hear from consultants that we have engaged and from Health Management Associates. But really, as the Commissioner said, this is not for you to come to listen. This is for you to come and talk to us, because we want to be the ones who listen as we go through the process to find out what the community sees as the role of JPS in the future. Also the role of healthcare in the future, and any issues that you believe that are important for us to consider. Because this is the first of 4 community forums that we're going to be holding across the county. And at the conclusion of that information will be brought together, and it will be put in a format in a way that we hope will reflect what the community needs and what the community wants. And so with that, I'd like to introduce 2 people that I've been very fortunate to work with for the last couple of months. And Warren Lyons is with HMA, and then Dr. Duncan is here from HMA also. So, Warren, shall I turn it over to you? Thank you. By the way, if you're going to have a comment, we have 2 individuals that have mics. We're going to ask that they raise their hands. They too are sitting in the back row. But if you like to make a comment, please let us get to you with the mic, because we are filming this, and we want to make sure that we capture all your comments for future meetings. With that, Warren, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Commissioner Brooks and GK, for the opportunity this evening to talk to you a bit about the work that we're doing, and keep that short so that we have the most time available for comments. I want to just personally thank all of the staff at Tarrant County and JPS. Dr. Duncan and myself and other members of our team have enjoyed a warm welcome, and we're really pleased to be able to work with this community to look forward to healthcare for all in a way that meets your needs. So I'm just going to take a few slides to talk about some of the information that might help guide our questions that you would have for us. HMA is just another consulting company that does healthcare. We are pleased to focus on public health hospitals, federally qualified clinics, and we work around the country with communities such as Tarrant County and JPS. Some of the important issues that you might want to think about, that we think about all the time with regard to the future of healthcare in any community in this country are, we have a population growth that certainly we've learned that Tarrant County is facing that future. Our population is aging. We have uninsured individuals. Our population is diverse, and there are healthcare issues and national trends that affect everyone, both people in the community, their physicians, and their community-based organizations. This is some current numbers that you probably have seen often in the newspapers. It's a remarkable population projection, which will impact everyone in a positive way, I'm sure, in terms of economic growth, but also will increase the demand for healthcare services over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So we see a projection of 3 million people by 2040, and that's an important number that we all keep in mind as we think about JPS, we think about the other hospitals, we think about our clinics, our physicians, our medical schools, anyone involved with healthcare. We do have, as you know, 20% or so of the population have no insurance, healthcare insurance, and certainly all of our communities realize a higher proportion of individuals without insurance are low income. We're now at the strategy engagement part of our work, which is talking to the community and to really hear from stakeholders about what you think. That's what we want to get to this evening. We're also talking to individuals individually, and as you see in your handout, there are a number of other community forums scheduled over the next month of November, December, and January. It's really important that we listen and that we not talk too much from this side of the microphone, so we would really want to listen to your comments. They're being recorded, and it's important that we collect that information from you now or in the future. So we thought we would provide just a few guiding questions for all of us, including Karen and myself, to think about in Tarrant County. What should our community do to help meet the needs of Tarrant County residents? That's sort of a generic question. We think about JPS Health Network, as Commissioner Brooks has pointed out. We have a medical hospital, behavioral hospital, over 60 provider sites. What do you think is being done well by JPS? What ways do you think the role of JPS could be changed to better meet the needs of the communities that you serve, that we serve? So between that question, what do our community members need? What's done well? And what are some opportunities and additional things that JPS and other providers could do? Are the opening guiding questions. With that, I would hope that we would hear now from those of you who have a comment to make. We do have the microphones, and if you would just raise your hand, and we would bring a microphone to you and ask you to give us your comments and thoughts.
I would like to let you know what I need in the area of behavioral health. And I would like our community to address the needs of Trinity Springs. And why I'm asking that is that I happen to have now an adult daughter with a behavioral health issue who needs to address behavioral health at JPS and the needs of the community. And why I would like to do that is because I do have a daughter who is an adult now who needs behavioral health services. And there are some things that I would like to see changed, some things that have been changed that are wonderful. But the situation is such that behavioral health now from JPS isn't sufficient for the community due to the increased size of the community. First of all, I would like to see the emergency unit for behavioral health relocated into a single standing hospital that treats behavioral health. That's because if I'm bringing my daughter, who at that stage would be psychotic, to JPS, I have to park, luckily, in the parking garage. But I now have to work on maneuvering her from the parking structure through the lobby of the hospital to the elevator to the 10th floor. And when you're dealing with somebody who is at a point of having behavior issues, could possibly be hearing voices, which is her case, it makes it extremely difficult to make that transition from some parking spot to a place where she can be evaluated and assessed. I think that JPS needs to incorporate an emergency unit into a behavioral health facility so that a person needing those services could come directly to that facility and be placed in a unit that is safe and can be utilized for the assessment as to whether or not that person needs to be hospitalized. Currently, after reaching that emergency unit very often is at capacity because of the growth of Tarrant County. Well, for me, I don't want to be waiting 30 years to see the capacity of that emergency unit not addressed. When you have somebody who has behavioral health issues, they, yes, need to be evaluated to see if they're going to be placed in-house or if their medications need to be changed and they can go home. Well, when you have so many patients in one unit, that length of time is extended, and sometimes, unfortunately, that length of time can be up to 24 hours, which is way too long for a family to have to wait in order to get that evaluation completed. Here's the next trouble. The next trouble is that Trinity Springs itself may already be at capacity. So now, here I might have somebody that needs in-house hospitalization, but they can't be placed in a unit at Trinity Springs. So now, the staff, and I must commend the staff because they're very caring, very diligent at trying to keep everything moving and flowing. They have to now locate another hospital that might have the bed capacity to house that patient. Here's the problem. That patient now, if the bed is located, has to be transported from JPS to the new facility in a way that is safe, which complicates the whole process. For me, as a family person, I want to be able to come, have my person evaluated, have my person placed in a unit, and me not have to worry about their safety. You know, JPS is the place where even the police department bring people to the 10th floor in order to be evaluated. And I can tell you, I've had that experience because when my daughter becomes psychotic, her behaviors are either suicidal ideation or runaway behavior. And if I haven't gotten to her in a timely manner and the behavior is runaway, I now need to ask the police department to help me locate her. And when that takes place, the police department brings her to the 10th floor. You know, it's hard for families to try and maintain wellness in somebody that has serious behavioral health issues. And we need the support of a place like Trinity Springs. And let me tell you, they now have peer support specialists in their units to help the patients reach wellness. They've gone to a recovery model. They do everything they can. The problem is it isn't big enough for Tarrant County because Tarrant County has grown and the community hasn't recognized the facility, hasn't kept pace with the growth of Tarrant County. And as I said, I can't wait 30 years, and I know other persons who have behavioral health issues and their loved ones can't wait 30 years. So I hope that you somehow see a way to put this to the forefront of Tarrant County. And thanks for listening to me, but it is something that has to be addressed. And I know from my own personal experiences at Trinity Springs, we are working with persons who've dedicated their lives to the wellness of persons with behavioral health disorders, and we really need to be more supportive. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing your personal view and story, and we really, really wish you and your family well. Appreciate that comment. Other comments from our community?
I'm not sure the format, it really goes with what John was saying. I'm with MHMR of Tarrant County, and we provide outpatient mental health services. We have crisis services. We have a mobile crisis team. But many times, even with all those services, and we also work with law enforcement. We have individuals that need to come to the hospital. And I want to reiterate what John was saying about the capacity issues. On a daily basis, there are people coming into that psychiatric ER. There's not enough room in Trinity Springs to move people over from the psychiatric ER. And our state hospitals, there are people who need to go to state hospitals. There's not room, so it makes for a very difficult set of choices. And I'm not sure how they do it, but they do a good job with what they have, but being able to deal with that capacity issue. I know our law enforcement, in conversation with them, they would definitely be in favor of having more psychiatric beds at JPS's facility to meet the capacity. Again, the population issues, the needs that we have. And if you look around the country, just the issues that we deal with from individuals that are in a crisis, behavioral health crisis, many times those things escalate. And having outpatient services and having inpatient services that meet the needs of the community help really reduce, I think, the likelihood of having outcomes that make the news.
Thank you for that comment. Any other comments from our community? Give everyone the opportunity. Okay.
I'm going to go back to the questions
Yeah.
again.
So, again, Dr. Duckett has reminded me that it's important to think about our guiding questions. So again, if there are community health needs you think you'd like to express that would be important for us to hear, or things that JPS is doing well, which we've certainly heard this evening, and new things and different things that, because you know your friends and family and relatives that might need something, we'd certainly like to hear those thoughts.
Something that JPS, I think, has done an outstanding job of is incorporating physical health with mental health. They now work with MHMR, and in their own clinics, they have the capacity availability of physical health with mental health, because very often the medications utilized in the area of mental health cause physical health problems such as diabetes, elevated cholesterol, elevated livers, etc. And putting the two together has been a huge plus for citizens in the community that have mental health disorders. So I think that in itself is very commendable that the system has done.
Thank you. We thought we'd let you know where the process is going. We are going to be summarizing for the commissioners the findings that we're learning from the community forums, from other work and dialogue and interviews with people in Tarrant County, and get some themes that we are going to incorporate in our recommendations. Our next steps, in addition to this forum, is that there are several others. You see that on your handout. We encourage you to share that information with others who might wish to come to an additional community forum. And at the end of the process, and all through this process, we have a website which Tarrant County has now activated. And if you go to that website, you will find the information as it's developed, reports that currently exist, the videos of these community forums, and other material about the work that HMA and JPS Tarrant County are doing. So this will be a website that they can help communicate transparently what we are trying to do over the next several months. I see we have an individual who came with us that came in just now. Sir, would you like to have some comments about JPS, about healthcare? Okay, thank you.
I wanted to highlight something that I think JPS is doing well, and I hope they continue to focus on that. I work with older adults. I did so in the community, and I do so now through a clinic. And one of the things they do well is partner with other community agencies. I see JPS doing that in the services that we provide. And I hope that continues to be a focus, especially for the many older adults who remain at home. Maybe they don't have a family provider. And I think continuing to do those outreach efforts with different organizations will need to be a big focus in the future as the population ages and grows.
Yes, good evening. I was privileged to meet these two individuals earlier today. And one thing that I was thinking about was, as you were speaking of the aging population. And the aging population, well, a lot of them are not familiar with the internet, social media, and so we have to find other ways to communicate, to get the word out to them. And some of the suggestion that was made was flyers, church community groups, a lot of time getting people in the neighborhood that people are familiar with, getting them in groups and having forums so that they can talk amongst themselves and get to dialogue with each other to bring suggestions to the JPS Health Network or to this group right here, and let them know what's going on, because most of the time people are more apt to open up to individuals that look like them or in the same situation that they're in. Also, we all shared and spoke with them about smoking. Smoking is a terrible disease that happens in each and every community, but more so in the lower economic community, especially the African American community, where you have alcohol signs, cigarette signs, I mean, all of the signs that are going on that contribute to health disease and to a lot of the problem that goes on in our neighborhood. And then there's also the transportation issue. How do we get people or young people to the hospital? From where I'm in Forest Hill, they have to go all the way downtown to JPS to get seen. So another thing is maybe making some clinics available more than just from 8 to 5 p.m. Sometimes we need, especially on the weekends, from open maybe from on a Saturday, every other Saturday, maybe a Sunday from 9 to 12 or something like that. So I think that would be something to consider.
Okay, if you have some closing remarks.
First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out tonight. I do want to recommend something, though. I know it's difficult sometimes to stand up in front of a group, especially a group of strangers, and make comments. And it's difficult for me, and I'm assuming it's difficult for you all too. In the sheet that you picked up when you signed in, there is a website, and if you'd like to make a comment, go to that website and make a comment. It's critically important that we find out what you believe that your needs are, because we can't address them unless we know what they are. So please take that opportunity and let us know how you feel. It'll really help us get to where we want to be in this process. So I really encourage you all to do that. So are there any other comments that anyone would like to make now? Okay, so here's the deal. We're about to adjourn, but we still have cookies and stuff like that. So, go ahead and help yourself. And once again, thank you for coming out tonight. We really appreciate it.